name is FPL Pickle and welcome back to another video. So today we have my post-international break Pickles preview. So what we'll do today is talk about the highlights from the international break, and there's actually a lot to go over, and also go over some of your dilemmas as well. So if you enjoyed today's video, please give the video a like and also consider subscribing as well. I'd really appreciate the support. So we know that international breaks can be eventful, but I feel like this international break there have been so many things that have gone on, particularly with injuries. So what I thought I'd do is talk about some of the injuries that have happened either during the international break or right before the international break, and talk about the progress of those and whether these players may start or not in game week 12. So the first player I know that not many people have, but they may have considered bringing in because of the fixture run for Man United. But we have Sesko. He sustained a knee injury against Tottenham, and we've had news come out that he's going to be sidelined for around 3 weeks or so. So for game week 12, he's a no-go, so I won't go there with him. The next one is the one that a lot of people have been talking about, and for good reason, GABRIEL. He sustained an injury. We don't exactly know quite what it is. It's like a thigh/groin injury, but there have been reports that he could be out for up to 1 to 2 months, which is really not ideal. But there are still some further tests that need to be carried out. So we need to wait and see a little bit longer. It might be that some news comes out either today or tomorrow. I'm recording this on Thursday. Is it Thursday? It's not Thursday, it's Wednesday. So like I said, I feel like it's important to wait and see at the moment because, you know, if he is out for a long time, he's a lot of money, so we could do with getting rid of him and perhaps getting a replacement or even upgrading other parts of our team. But at the same time, if he's not gone for overly long, he's not someone that I just want to sell and bring back in straight away, especially when we have money tied up in him. So yeah, we're going to have to see about that one, but it is quite unfortunate. So the next player, Semenyo, it's quite an interesting one. He did play against Japan, but then withdrew from the squad ahead of the game against South Korea. And it's reported that it's a sprain in his anterior talofibular ligament. But we've also seen that on social media, it seems as though he was celebrating his 5th year anniversary with his partner. And then as of yesterday, there were reports, well, there was on social media, it seems that Semenyo has now proposed to his partner. So it could be that there's both going on at the same time, but also there is the possibility that he, you know, had the go-ahead to go and be with his partner and propose when he wanted to, especially if it is linked to his 5-year anniversary. So that is an interesting one, and we need to wait and see, but I do feel fairly confident that he will start against West Ham at home. So Enzo is one of those players that withdrew from international duty even before it began because it seems as though he's been suffering with a knee injury for quite a long time, and he felt that it would be best that he had a rest throughout the international break. Since then, we haven't really had any news on Enzo. It might be that he's fine for Burnley away, to be honest, but if there's going to be a fixture to bench him, Burnley away could be the one, especially before Arsenal in game week 13. So it's a difficult one. I'm holding out hope as an owner that he is just going to start anyway, but I think it is going to be a bit touch and go, and we're going to have to wait for some more information on him. Mark Gay, similar thing. He was with the England squad for a little bit, but withdrew shortly after that. It seems as though he's got some bruising on his foot that's been quite bad, and it left him unable to walk, and I think he was on crutches at one point. Again, we haven't had much information on that since, and so we don't really know whether he's going to start just yet in game week 12. Hold out hope that he will against Wolves, but his replacement Cambot played really quite well in game week 11, so I wouldn't be overly surprised either if he ends up starting rather than Gay, but again, we're going to have to wait on information on him. When it comes to Gordon with his hip injury, seems a bit 50-50, touch and go on whether he's going to start in game week 12, so to be honest, if there are any owners left out there, I think he'd be a sell for me. Pope in game week 11 had to come off because of a head injury, and since then he's had to go through the concussion protocols, which is 12 days, although we've had a report today that he should be fine for game week 12 against Man City. So if there are any Pope owners out there, he should be fine, and you won't have to worry about getting a replacement there, unless you still fancy it, because let's be honest, Newcastle defence haven't been the best. Another one as a Villa fan, which is not ideal, is Konza. He, during the Serbia game, picked up an injury to his calf and then missed out against Albania. And as well as that, Cash picked up a little injury against Netherlands in international duty and therefore didn't play against Malta. Don't have much info on either of them at the moment, but that is certainly going to be a blow for the Villa defence if they're both out in game week 12. In terms of the attacking returns, this list is not exhaustive, impressive, but there were quite a few goals for quite a lot of assets that we all seem to own, and of course the number one being Haaland. Are we surprised? This man scored a brace in both of the games he played in over international duty, and just what a monster. He's in such good form at the moment. I think he's scored in 5 consecutive games across all competitions, and to be honest, I don't think he's going to stop against Newcastle when they're lacking the likes of Burn. Livramento could be back, but I could see him doing well in that game. Bruno Fernandes getting a hat-trick against Armenia. I think 2 of them were penalties, but goals are goals, and I think he'd be someone that I'd be tempted to get back if I had the money and I had an easy route to him. So if you have him, I would definitely not get rid of at the moment. As a Voltemada owner, I was very pleased to see this. Voltemada got 3 goals over the international break. I think he got 2 goals in the one game and then 1 goal in the other. And I think he only had 4 shots in total. He seems to be the sort of player that doesn't really get a high volume of shots, but when he gets the shots, he takes them well. So that's nice to see. I mean, will he get a goal against Man City? I don't know. I suppose St James's Park is quite a tough place to go and play, but I guess I gotta hold out hope for that one. Perhaps a more surprising one here is Wilson. Last night against North Macedonia, he played in the 9 and scored a hat-trick. I wish that he was like a solid option that you knew he was going to start every game, especially for Sunderland at home. He'd be a really cheeky option, but I don't think I'd personally go there. Doku was well last night, playing really well, got 2 goals and an assist against Liechtenstein. In very good form at the moment, but again, I don't know whether he's a player that I'd go for, because Pep Roulette, it just scares me too much, but he is quite a cheeky punt, to be fair. Also, Gakpo getting in a goal and assist as well. I suppose with the Liverpool fixtures coming up, he's still a very tempting option, but the benchings have put quite a lot of people off lately, so I don't know whether it's worth having a bit more time to assess the situation before getting the Liverpool players in, but I understand that Nottingham Forest at home isn't the worst fixture in the world, and you might want to jump on it sooner rather than later. Saka getting a nice cheeky goal for England as well, and also it's nice to see Mateta getting a goal. He started in the second game for France and he did get a goal. I think he did also miss a big chance as well. I feel like Mateta's sort of the opposite of Voltemada in the sense that he actually gets a lot of chances, but he does miss the odd one. So, you know what, for Wolves away, I'm pretty jealous that I don't have him. And then finally, we've got Eze, who had a goal as well. I think it was a Foden assist for that one. Like I said, they're not the only ones that scored. I think Ekatike got a goal. I think Strand Larsen got a goal last minute, right after he came on for Haaland. I think Casemiro got some returns as well, Esteval. So there were a lot of players in the Prem that got some returns over the international break. It's very interesting to see. And there's definitely some patterns there in terms of there are some players that are really on form at the moment. And I suppose if you have any of those players, you're going to be happy having them for Game Week 12. But now let's move on to talking about some of your dilemmas for Game Week 12. So guys, like we've discussed in the previous slide, so many injuries over the international break. I feel like even more than usual. And with quite a few of us having a fair few flags in our team now, we're starting to wonder, do we need to sell any of them? And I suppose there are some that are on the higher priority list than others in terms of how long they may be out for. But even GABRIEL in particular, like I said before, I feel even though a report has come out saying 1 to 2 months, which is very much not ideal, especially when the likes of Game Week 13 and 14 are so close together, we might want to get rid of him. But I still want to wait a little bit longer. Because for me personally, I have 3 defenders that I'm still very much happy to play without GABRIEL being there. And I do wonder, especially with the free hit 13 in mind, whether it might be worth just holding on to him for a little bit longer and seeing could he be back sooner. But if we get solid news that he's out until January, then it probably is time to sell. And I suppose the obvious replacement in my eyes is Van Dijk. At the same time though, Liverpool defence has been shaky. That right-hand side has been quite shaky in particular. But at the same time, once again, the fixtures are so good that surely they're going to get some returns there. And Van Dijk is going to get 90 minutes. He's going to get DEFCON. So he seems like the most reliable option. Some other options that you could go for, I suppose if you have Raya and GABRIEL, then you can just switch to a Timber. That's a pretty easy move. You can maybe go for a Saliba. Or if you don't have a Palace defender, I wouldn't mind a Munoz. He's so attacking, especially for Wolves away. I reckon he could do insanely well in that game. So Munoz is definitely an option, even Cucurella as well. So there are lots of options to go for. Or you could even actually go down to a 4.5 million defender and then have the room for your midfield to upgrade there. Perhaps if you're struggling to get an Mbermo, perhaps selling Gabriel would be a nice route to that. So there are definitely options, but me personally, I'm not rushing to sell just yet. But if I was going to sell Gabriel, it probably would be for Van Dijk. In terms of the others, I think with Semenyo and Enzo, I'm not too inclined to sell right now, especially because I think Semenyo in particular, I think he will start against West Ham at home, and that is a very good fixture. And with his high EO, I'm not sure whether I want to miss out on any attack and returns there. But we do know that his form as of late hasn't been fantastic. And if he does have a lingering injury, then that might not help things. So if you're willing to divert away from the template, this is probably a good time. But for me personally, I think I'll hold for a bit longer. Same with Enzo, just because of how nice the fixture is. Worst case, I get Xhaka off the bench against Fulham away. And then same with Gay, it's a little bit of a tough one because obviously seeing him on crutches was not ideal, but they got Wolves away next, and if there is news that he's going to be alright, then I definitely wouldn't sell him before that. I know it's a little bit more expensive, so then there might be a little bit more opportunity to go elsewhere, like maybe an O'Reilly if you wanted to punt on someone. But I think having a Crystal Palace defender is important at the moment, especially if you have Gay and you have money tied up in him. He's just got so many attack and returns this year. So again, I'd wait a little bit longer for him. Now, bench boost 12. I was one of those individuals that was tempted to go with bench boost 12 because on paper it looked a lot better. And my game week 11 bench boost didn't go very well at all. It was 8 points, but based on the amount of injuries we've seen and how many flags quite a few people have, I am glad I just kind of got it out the way, because I do feel as though all of these injuries have ruined a lot of plans for everyone else. I'm perhaps in a more unique situation where I have quite a few free transfers banked up, but that is not the case with everyone else. If you've only got one free transfer at the moment, or even two, and you feel like you'd have to use all of those to feel safe in, activating your bench boost, I don't think I'd really do it. If you can get away with just moving the one player though, go ahead, it's still fine. But I do feel, unfortunately, all of these injuries and all of these doubts that have cropped up have thrown a spanner in the works for a lot of people. So we want to hold out a little bit and see what news comes out in the press conferences on Friday. But at the moment, it might be that, things are a bit 50-50, things aren't clear, and it might be too risky to go ahead with it. So if any of you are out there planning to do a bench boost 12, let me know down in the comments what your situation is. Are you still going to go ahead with it? Are you going to delay it a little bit longer? Let me know. It's a bit of a shame, but this is why it is a little bit risky playing the chip after the international break. In terms of captaincy for Game Week 12, I talked about this in my previous Pickles preview video, and to be honest, my stance hasn't really changed. Personally, Haaland is still number one for me. Of course, though, this is definitely a game week where you can divert because it is away at home at St James's Park. That is not an easy place to go. But we've seen Haaland score 4 goals over international break. He's in such good form. And Dan Burns out. And Newcastle, they might have Livramento back, like I said before, which will strengthen them a little bit. But I don't know. I could still see Haaland doing really well in this game. So I think for me personally, Haaland will be where I go. Other options though, if you have a Salah, I'd be tempted to captain him. Saka against Tottenham at home is a decent shout as well, because Tottenham defensively aren't that great. And another player that I actually really like, and if I had him I would consider captaining, is Mateta. I think he could get so many chances against Wolves, because Wolves at the moment, they are really struggling. They're having a really, really tough season. So I think Wolves at the moment are just a team to target, unfortunately. And I could see Palace doing extremely well in that game. So if you had a Mateta, I'd be very tempted to captain him. Now, in terms of the free hit chip, I think Game Week 13 is where a lot of people are going, but I do feel it depends on the sort of players that you do have. Me personally, I have quite a few Arsenal players and Chelsea players, and they're playing against each other in 13, whereas I'm lacking, Villa players, for example, and Liverpool players, so it might be a good chance to jump on those, and even Man City players, like maybe punting on an O'Reilly in that game week. Going for it that way. But for some people, they may feel like they can get away with not needing to use the free hit chip in Game Week 13 because they don't really have any Chelsea players, or they've only got one Arsenal player. So There's games like Game Week 16 which are quite good as well. I do like that fixture, but I think the majority of people are going to agree that Game Week 13 is probably the best game week to go. You'll have to let me know though, do you guys have plans for the free hit chip? You're going 13, you're going 15, you're going 16, even 14, let me know down in the comments. I'd be interested to hear what your strategies are. So guys, those are my post-international break Pickles pointers, and now I'm going to move on to my Pickles punts for Game Week 12. Now, I feel like especially two of the players that I've put in here are definitely punts. High risk, high reward punts. And the first one is Emi Buendia. He's one of these players at the moment that I just have a gut feeling about, and I want to go for him. You know, he's been providing the majority of the attack and returns for Villa this season, because let's be honest, we've not been scoring a lot of goals. I think he's had 4 goals, 3 assists this season. However, he is a minutes risk, so I say it with caution. He could be a really nice option with the fixtures they've got. They've got Leeds away next, they've got Wolves at home in 13. He's a player I'm kind of tempted to put on my free hit. So if you're fancying a cheaper differential, a cheaper midfielder, I don't mind it as an option, but it does come with risk. And I'll say the same for O'Reilly. I nearly put him as a pass, I'm not going to lie, because again, we still don't know if he is going to start every single game. Pet roulette after all. But he has started the majority of games over the last few. And Aït-Nouri is back from injury, but he does go to AFCON soon. I can see O'Reilly keeping his place, and he's been very, very attacking. He played well for England as well. So with the fixtures that Man City have got coming up, I do quite like Nico O'Reilly. Chris Richards, not quite as exciting, but Wolves away, good fixture. And he's had a rest. So, I don't know, if you don't have a Crystal Palace defender yet and you don't have a lot of money in the bank, Chris Richards, very reliable. Got me 8 points last game. He's one of my highest scoring players. And against Wolves away, like I said, it's a fixture to target, and I could even see him getting a cheeky attack and return here. That's another gut feeling I have as well. So those are my Pickles punts. A little bit more cheeky this time. Let me know what you think. Are there any of these that you would consider? But for now, let's move on to my Pickles passes for Game Week 12. So these are my passes going into Game Week 12, and it's annoying because I put this one as a punt last week, but Matty Cash, unfortunately, I'm saying as an avoid solely because of the injury doubts that are going on, not only with Cash himself, but Konza too. And of course we know that Villa's defence isn't exactly amazing, and they're away from home this time, even though it is Leeds. So just that alone, all of this stuff together, even if Cash does start, I think Konza being out would be quite a big blow. I suppose though, he is enticing because he is very attacking, but I just think with all the doubts at the moment, I wouldn't go there just yet, but for Wolves at home, I wouldn't mind him then. Again, Szoboszlai I've put as a pass, and I know this might be a little bit controversial, and I know that obviously Liverpool's fixtures are turning at the moment, and we're all really struggling to think of a player that we want that is reliable. There's obviously Salah, but he's so expensive and he is not providing value for money at the moment. There's the likes of Van Dijk, of course. Then there's Gakpo, but he's a minutes risk. So Szoboszlai is there, but there's a couple of things that worry me. First of all, he's on 4 yellow cards, so I just feel like there's an impending ban that's going to happen soon. It would be a good well, for me, it'd be best case scenario if he got booked against Nottingham Forest and then didn't play in 13, then I could get him in 14, because I don't mind him as an option, but that yellow card situation is slightly putting me off a little bit. Also, I don't feel that this is very likely to happen, but I think with the whole Bradley situation against Man City, I am a bit worried that he could maybe play at right back every now and then, and obviously that is not great for him as an asset. He'd get the DEFCON, of course, but in terms of attacking threat, that's going to significantly reduce, and we want him in the 10 really. So I don't think Nottingham Forest is the game where I'd feel desperate to get him right now. I feel like that yellow card situation in particular is putting me off. Let me know what you think about that. Do you agree with that or not? And then the last player, I don't think many people are really considering this player anyway, but Cian Fleming. He's had 3 goals in 4 games for Burnley, so doing quite well, and at 5.3 million that might be slightly tempting for people. But at the same time, I think I would rather just put a bench fodder there in that third forward spot and use that money to upgrade my midfield. I don't think it's really worth having him when there are, quite a few midfield options that you could go for, especially the likes of an Mbeumo or maybe a Bruno. So yeah, that's the reason why I wouldn't really go for him. So there you go, guys. those are my Pickles passes for Game Week 12, and what I'd like to do now is show you a wildcard draft that I'd maybe consider for Game Week 12. So guys, for the wildcard draft, what I thought was jump on FPL team, shout out to FPL team, and just kind of go through building a wildcard draft that I would do based on my team. I will premise that my team value is not great. Has gotten better actually. I think it's like just under 102 million, so could be worse. So what I'm going to do now is just go through it. So I think first of all, for a wild card, Pope's got to go. And I think because of the GABRIEL situation, I think I'm just going to switch back to Raya here. I think I would still like double Arsenal defence, so I will keep Timber there. And then we've got Big Verge. I think we're going to have to put Verge in there. You could consider a Cucurella though, especially before Burnley away. I think I'd keep Richards personally. Quite like him there. Senesi, I quite like as well, but has been a little bit disappointing. So part of me is a little bit tempted to maybe downgrade there a little bit. Maybe put an Anderson in, but then you have got a little bit of a benching headache, but yeah, whatever. In terms of Arsenal now, Saka. I do like Saka, I'm not going to lie. But Rice has been very good lately and has been providing a lot of routes to points. So I'm going to put him in for now. Maybe put him on the bench. Enzo, I think I'm going to let go of. I think I'm going to let go of the Chelsea players, which feels a bit of a shame. I'll do the forwards actually first, because to me this isn't much of a debate. I think we've got to put Thiago in there before Brighton away, and he's got some very nice fixtures coming up. Can easily bench him in 14 though, which I can show you. And then I think I'd get Mateta in there as well. So I am tempted to go for triple Crystal Palace, at least for a little bit, whilst the fixtures are looking good. And then we've got quite a bit of money going on here. I think I'd just keep Rodon and Dubravka. How much money have I got now? I've got 8.5. Where have I not downgraded? Oh yeah, I need to get rid of Enzo. But I think I'd want to get Bruno in. But you could just put in Burmo in as well. But there's not that much money between them now, is there? 0.4 mil. Wow, I didn't realise it was that close actually. I think value for money, that has become more difficult. And part of me would probably want to just get Bruno in that case, you know. And then finally, Enzo. I mentioned that there's a punt that I've got a bit of a gut feeling on. And people are going to hate this, I know. But we move. Yeah. Is this bad? I don't know. It looks good to me. It looks good to me. But this is silly in hindsight, isn't it? Look at the projected points. But I just think with the fixtures they've got, and he's been so good lately. I don't know, guys. I have this in mind. What do you think? I think I'll keep Semenyo just for this, because I think he will start. And the fixtures are still quite nice, to be fair. But if you want to get some money, let's say Buendia is just an absolute disaster. You could then, you know, get someone else. You could even, how much money have I got? Not quite enough for NDI there, sadly. But let's say I don't know. Let's say you didn't want to have Semenyo and you wanted someone else, you could perhaps put an NDI in, but the likes of Barry and Beto have definitely been ruining his potential lately. But yeah, maybe a bad idea. But Buendia, I quite like it. And then moving on from that, I didn't even click the wildcard button, but yeah, I'd still have $1 million in the bank as well. And I think that's a pretty solid team. You've got pen takers, a few in there, you've got some attacking players there. Don't know, quite like it. Then in 13, I'd probably free hit, to be fair. Could you get away with not free hitting this though? You could. It's not awful. It's not awful, but I'd probably free hit. And then going into 14, still got, well, I've got loads of free transfers. That might not be the same for everyone else. But then Thiago's got Arsenal away, so I'd probably put Rice in there. And then in terms of the defenders, that all looks delicious. Looks pretty solid. Again, this comes with risk, I understand. Worst case, if you had Thiago against Arsenal away, it's not the worst thing in the world. I won't go too far ahead because we've seen recently how bad that can be. This perhaps doesn't look quite so good, but I think it still looks solid. You could perhaps sell Semenyo here and then upgrade Buendia if you wanted. But again, looks okay. And I'll go one more further forward. Richard's okay. And then we could put Anderson in there. They seem to rotate pretty well. But then we've got Man City, so perhaps we need to start making some moves here. So, again, I'm not going to go too into it, but that little draft there, I don't know. Looks quite cheeky to me. What do you guys think? Let me know. Do you think this is ridiculous or what? I don't know. My senses are tingling, guys. My pickle's tingling. I'm going to probably have to cut that out. But yeah, that's the wildcard draft. That's enough of my waffling. Let me know what you think. Now we're going to move on to my final section, which is my pickles predictions for Game Week 12. So guys, if you've made it this far, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate the support. I'm glad that you enjoy my waffling. But these are my predictions going into Game Week 12. So for any NDI owners out there, I'm sure you'll be happy to see this. I have a good feeling about NDI this week. I think even though Man United have not been too bad and the likes of Lamans has definitely improved their defence, I think that NDI will get a goal against Man United away. So we'll tune in for that one. The second one, I think, which is not ideal for Anderson owners, I think that Sunderland are going to score 2 or more goals against Fulham. They have been very good lately and they are at home. So I think that they will do quite well, better than we perhaps think they will. So that's my second prediction. Then my third one, perhaps a little bit boring, but I'm predicting that Saka's going to get DEFCON points once again against Spurs. I could see him getting a few recoveries and things, so could happen, might not. It's surprising that he's been getting the amount of DEFCON points he has actually, but yeah, those are my predictions for Game Week 12. If you're new to the channel, what I'm doing is across the season making 3 predictions each game week, and if I get more than 10 right across the season, I'm going to donate £100 to a charity of your choice. So if you have any charities in mind, please let me know down below in the comments. I'm getting close now, 6 out of 10 already, so I'm happy with that. So there we have it, guys. That was my post-international break pickles preview. I hope you've enjoyed it. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I look forward to seeing you all very, very soon for my team selection video for Game Week 12. But until then, bye-bye.